Now on my desk, I'll periodically have formative projects that'll be in these little bins that you see here. And in these bins, they have templates and the metal that you'll need to cut out for practice formative projects. Now when you create your own projects, you're going to be creating your own templates as well. So I'm not going to give you templates for the summative projects. You're going to create those. It's the same basic idea. You're going to create shapes, multiple shapes, that are going to get soldered or riveted together, and you're going to have to cut these shapes out. Now the first project that you're going to be doing is a Titan pin. So I have these pieces set for you and the metal that goes with them. To create a template, all you do is simply cut out the shape. Now as you can see from my template, I've left a little bit of extra space, white space, around the outside. That's so I can clearly see my lines as I'm going. We've cut out our template for this, the T of the Titan pin. We're going to tape it down to this piece of copper. Once you're done with the tape, be a sport and fold it over. Make life a little bit easier for the next person. Jewelers, now it's time to cut. Now you're going to have to do 3 kinds of cuts to complete really any project. The first one is a straight cut. To get the blade started, you're just going to slide it up. Sometimes I like to put a finger or a thumb on the back of the blade to hold it. I'm also laying my fingers on top of the metal to keep it down against the bench pin. The reason the bench pin has this gap here is so that you can cut in between it and hold it down on either side to keep it steady. Whenever I cut, I use nice long strokes trying to use the full length of the blade. Go ahead, I made just a practice cut there. You can try that as many times as you'd like, but I'm going to go ahead and start to cut the T out. I first have this short straight. After cutting in just a little bit, I got to do a different kind of cut. This is an angled cut. So to turn the blade at an angle, I keep it going up and down in the same place, and I turn the handle a little bit as it goes up and down. I do 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, turn a bit, 1, 2, 3, turn a bit, and the blade is turning in place until it makes that angle. So now I can cut forward again. Now I'm at the second kind of cut, which is a curve. And this is where I'm going to turn the handle and cut forward at the same time. So I pull down and turn a little bit, and I'm trying to follow the line, maybe a little bit on the outside of the line. Now I got a nice long straightaway, so I'm going to zip through that. I've come to another sharp angle now. So now I'm going to go straight up and down and turn my saw blade a little bit each time. 1, 2, 3, turn a bit, 1, 2, 3, turn, 1, 2, 3, turn, until I get to the new direction. On my cut, you notice my line is a little jagged and it's a little bit on the outside, especially at the top of the T here. That's okay. If I make a mistake, I want to make it to the outside of my line so I can file it and make it look nice again. If I make a mistake on the inside of my line, that's not good. I'm going to have to maybe cut a new piece of metal if I make a big enough mistake. Now anytime you cut with the jeweler saw, you're going to need to file and sand all of the edges that you cut. You can find sandpaper at the front of the room by the polishing wheel, and you can find files in your toolboxes. I'm going to file all my cuts so that all the lines look nice and smooth. You can see that all the edges look a little jagged, and that's what I'm going to clean up with the file and sandpaper now. At the front of the room, I have two kinds of sandpaper. This purplish sandpaper is a little bit more coarse. It has about a 400 grit. This gray sandpaper is a lot finer, and this is about 1,000 grit. I'm going to sand both the edges and the face with 400 and 1,000 grit sandpaper. I'm going to highlight two things that I did to get this piece ready for finish. Okay? Now you don't have to do this, but I'm going to show you two kinds of finish. The first kind of finish is what we call a matte finish. In a matte finish, we sand vertically back and forth, creating little grooves in the metal. And usually a matte finish is done with a little bit coarser grit, like this purple sandpaper. So I'm going to just go back and forth, creating straight lines. And a matte finish is even across the whole thing. And this is a perfectly acceptable finish for a piece of jewelry on the face. The other kind of finish, or other kind of sanding for finish, is the kind of sanding that we do, that I've done on the front here. And I've done this with both the 400 and the 1,000 grit. I did little circles with the purple sandpaper, and then I did little circles again with the gray sandpaper, trying to even it out and get it ready for polish. Now one of your pieces is going to have to be polished, and that's how you do the sanding to get it ready for the polish.